Greetings, church. It is Holy Week. It's good to get a chance to greet you by video. I hope this video finds you well. Hope you and your family are healthy and living in victory in the Lord. I want to just share a couple things that are going on this week and also just give encouragement as a church that this is a time for us to pray. This is a time for us to seek the Lord. I've been reading the book of Mark and the events that happen in Jesus Passion Week, Holy Week that we're celebrating. This morning I was meditating on chapter 13, which talks about signs of the end of the age. Many people have asked me, do you think that this pandemic is one of the signs that we're getting toward the end? Is Jesus coming again really soon? And my answer to that is yes. But at the same time, I think we're not given any freedom to put a timetable on that. When Jesus comes back is something that only God the Father knows. But we're to be ready. We're to live as if he's coming back at any time. Jesus said repeatedly, stay awake. He said, wake up, and then he said, stay awake. He said it 3 or 4 times in that passage. When things like this happen, when we see these kind of signs, Jesus said, especially know that the end is near. It's especially time for us to wake up. I've been thinking about what that means for us as a church. It's not a matter of just waking up. It's a matter of staying awake. Some of us have already gotten back to our old routines and maybe some old habits. But Jesus said, stay awake, stay alert. It's easy for us to be walking through our lives half asleep, kind of in autopilot, just doing what we're supposed to do, just doing maybe what the rest of the folks around us are doing, just trying to make it, trying to survive. I think Jesus is calling us as a church to wake up, and he's calling us to stay awake. It means we're going to have to consciously seek him, consciously move towards him, consciously draw near to him. Everything around us is floating downstream, and if we're on autopilot, we're going right with our culture, walking in blame and anger and frustration at all the things that are happening around us. But when we're awake and when we're aware, we see that Jesus is moving. He's establishing his kingdom and he's calling us to be a part of it. It's time for us to be awake and it's time for us to stay awake. This is an important week in the yearly calendar of the church, but it's an important week because we're in the midst of a pandemic that's supposed to reach its heights during this week. And we're also at a time when we're celebrating and reflecting on what it means that Jesus died and rose again for us. So I'm going to share a little bit about what is going on in the church this week and encourage you with what it means to be awake. So on Thursday, the day of our traditional Easter party outreaches, we are going to be doing an outreach, but this time there'll be door hanger invitations that we'll pass out all around the neighborhood, hanging on people's doors along with a gift. And the invite will tell people where they can tune in, how they can tune in on our YouTube channel to both our Good Friday service and our Easter service. But what we also want to do is really connect with people in the neighborhood that have particular needs. So we will have an option at the bottom, a way for people to text a key word if they want help in 4 different areas. If they want free Bibles, if they want prayer, if they're in need of basic necessities and food, or in need of some activities for their kids. And we're excited about this because this will be a chance for us to connect with people. There's plenty of people who are hurting all around us and in need of some of these basic things. On Friday night, we'll have a Good Friday service. It's going to be amazing. You don't want to miss it. It will be at 7 o'clock on our YouTube channel. Pastor Doug is going to share about the 7 last words of Jesus and how that helps us in times of crises. It's going to be a very beautiful time of worship, reflection, and prayer, and you don't want to miss that, 7 o'clock. We'll also take communion together. Watch that video again with that special helper, Caleb, and prepare your communion and be ready for that before we get started at 7. Also on Easter Sunday, we're going to start at 9:30, and Easter Sunday is going to be our traditional bilingual service. You can also tune into that on our YouTube channel. We're going to hear from Pastor E. Perez Romero, also known as my father-in-law, Sarah's father. Invite people to tune into that. Invite people to tune into the Good Friday service. And I want to encourage you to watch it in real time. Be there with us. That's an important part of us being together as a church. Let's be there at those 2 times, worshiping the Lord together, hearing from the Lord together as a church. And let's invite people to join with us and trust that God's going to work in their hearts. Finally, church, I really want to encourage us to pray. This is a time when we've got to be prayerful. We've got to be seeking God in prayer. So pray for these things. Pray for the outreach. Pray for the service. We're going to have an opportunity, if all goes well, for people to click a link in our YouTube channel to respond to the messages. Pray that there would be responses, that we would be able to follow up with people. Pray for the hurting around you. We'll send out this invite to you, those of you who are on our email chain, so you can get that to people. If there's people around you who are hurting and we can connect with them in some way or help them in some way, let's do that. But let's pray for them. Let's pray for the folks around us and pray that God is going to do above and beyond what we could ask or imagine. So church, I'm encouraged by you. I'm encouraged by all that you've been doing to reach out to each other, to speak words, to sharpen each other, to be in communication with each other during these hard times, to pray for one another. Let's continue to do that. I'm encouraged by the ways that you've been reaching out. Let's continue to do that. If you're able to, church, I want to encourage you to fast on Friday. I'll be fasting on Friday and just praying for these things. If you're not able to, set apart extra time to pray. It's a real important season for us to be in prayer. Let's keep praying at 7 o'clock each night, seeking the Lord with our families, seeking the Lord virtually. And as Jesus said in Mark 13:37, what I say to you, I say to all, stay awake. Let's stay awake, church. God bless you.